Hi there, this is Paula Bettenker. I am the owner of Sacred Interiors by Paula and the founder of Sacred Interiors Academy. And today I wanted to share this training with you on how to choose the right lighting for your home. So I'm going to share some key points on how to select the right lighting for any room in your home. So let's get started. Choosing the right lighting for your home. So lighting is one of those things that is often overlooked when people are decorating their home or designing their home. And in fact, a lot of times interior designers don't have a whole lot of background in lighting. I'm sharing these key points with you today as a lighting designer, and with that experience in mind, here are those key points. Number one is layer your lighting. It's really important that we don't rely on only one source of lighting to be the lighting that provides all functions for our homes. And this is also something that is often overlooked. So when I say layer your lighting, my recommendation is usually that you have 2 to 3 layers of lighting in each room. What does that mean? First, I'm going to tell you what the different types of lighting are, and then you'll get the understanding of what that layering process looks like. So one source of light that would be considered a layer of lighting is natural light. So you want to always, as much as able, incorporate natural light into your rooms, into your home. A lot of the times when people are buying a new home, that's the first thing that either they want and that they look for, or that they miss. So making sure that you incorporate that natural light is really important. It's the most beautiful way to just bring life into your space, to bring good energy into your space. So if at any point you're able to create that source of natural light by maybe removing old blinds or old drapes and different window coverings that may be prohibiting that light from coming in, that is always a great idea. And if you're remodeling or anything like that, maybe include more natural light possibilities into your home design. So that's one layer of light that, if at all possible, you want to have as the first option. Then the other options are task lighting. For example, think of floor lamps or anything that is a source of light that you can directly point towards what it is that you're doing. So in this case, in the picture, for example, there's a light that's right above the stove. So obviously, if you're going to be cooking, you can turn that on and it's directly pointing towards the stove while you're doing that job of cooking. Task lighting is also thinking of anything that helps you perform a specific task, like reading, cooking, applying makeup, paying the bills, or writing something, or whatever anything that is, in this case, specifically focusing on something you're doing. Overhead lights, pendants, swing arm lamps, table lamps, under counter lights like I showed you in the picture, vanity lights, floor lamps, and desk lamps. So that would be another layer of lighting that you can include in your room. Another layer would be accent lighting. And so accent lighting is something that is really oftentimes more decorative. It's something that we use to create a mood or an ambiance in the room. How do you want to feel? The lighting determines a lot of that. If you want to have a cozy space or maybe even more of a romantic space, then the lights are going to be slightly more dimmed. Or also, what do you want to highlight? Is there a piece of art that you really love? Is there a console table you really like? Is there a wall texture or wall material like wallpaper or backsplash that you also really want to highlight? That would be your accent light. Or is there something you want to disguise? So oftentimes you can get away from an ugly wall or maybe an ugly piece of furniture somewhere by adding light to a space opposite of that space you want to disguise. So that's also another way to use accent lighting, to just distract your eyes from seeing something that you don't really want to put a lot of focus on. Thinking of lighting as far as accent lighting goes, in terms of bookcases that you want to light, or niche lighting, pictures, wall sconces are beautiful sort of accent lights that you can use to create more interest in a space, or also to just add to any area, wall space that you just don't feel like it's complete. So it's a great way to just not add a bunch of stuff like more pictures or more wall art, but adding lighting is a way to add more interest to the space and then highlighting the space as well. It's also a good way to play with wall space if something is too tall or too wide. If a specific wall is too tall or too wide, the lighting sort of creates a buffer in between that. So the other key that I want to share is choosing the right size. So you now know that adding those layers into the room, at least 2 or 3 layers of lighting, is going to give you the most professional look in your room design, and also it's going to give you the most interest in the room as far as lighting goes. Choosing the right size for your fixtures is also key to creating the specific effect of design that you want to have, and also function. So here we can see that this chandelier is pretty large, but it's really well proportioned with the furniture that is around the table and with the table itself as well. So I want to give you this little formula on how you can choose the right size for your fixtures. What you want to do is go into the room that you are wanting the fixture for, and you're going to measure the room and add those dimensions of the room together. You're going to add the width and the depth of the room, and you're going to add the dimensions of the room together in feet. Then you're going to convert your answer to inches. The answer in inches should equal the diameter of the fixture itself. So if your room measures 10 feet by 14 feet, the diameter of your lamp, of your fixture, should be about 24 inches. This is a universal principle you can use to make that choice for your fixture. Of course, depending on the style and the effect you want to create in the design, you can always go a little smaller or a little bigger. Obviously, going bigger is going to give you a more bold effect, and going smaller is going to just make the fixture itself be a little bit more subtle, not so noticeable. So those are 2 different ways in which you can adjust that. Using that same formula for ceiling flush mounts and chandeliers. So whether a flush mount would be basically this first picture here, where it's just a fixture that is directly attached to your junction box in the ceiling, and then a chandelier has more of a dropping. Depending on your ceiling height is how you would choose this, and then of course the style as well. But the ceiling height is a big decision factor for this. For a dining room chandelier, you want to have the fixture hang about 33 inches above the table. And you can add 3 inches for every foot above 8 feet in your ceiling height. So if you have a 10 feet high or 12 feet high, 14, 16, however high your ceiling is, this is a formula you're going to use to add height into the fixture itself and the selection of the fixture. So adding 3 inches for every foot above 8 feet is how tall you want to hang the fixture. And you'll also have to take the size of the table into account. Most of the times when I make my selections for lighting, I like to use something that is at least half the size of the table, because anything smaller than that is just going to be too small. So half of the size at least, 3/4 of the size of the table is even better. Now, the other key point as far as choosing the right lighting for your home is color temperature. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't really know about, and it throws them off a lot, especially because most people nowadays are using LED lights. So this is a very basic way that you can have in your pocket to make your choices when you're buying light bulbs or when you're buying fixtures that have LED lighting already as part of this fixture, meaning you don't actually change the light bulbs, but the fixture itself has the light already in there. So the color temperature goes from 2700K to 5K, and even above that. Anything above 5K is usually for commercial spaces, parking lots, or anywhere where you need an amount of light that is like a lot of light. So 2700K is the type of light you would use for something really, really subtle, usually used for mood lighting, usually used for more of a vintage vibe, something that's just like those amber colored lights. They're usually 2700, so they're not very bright. 3000K is the color light I recommend for most people that are wanting to just choose lighting for their home. 3K is basically your traditional incandescent lighting color. It's very comfortable for the eyes. It's very comfortable for people to walk in it. It makes the space nice and bright, but also cozy and familiar and not overbearing. 3K is in general, again, just a warm color hue, and it makes the space just really, really cozy. 4000K is a color I would use for very modern spaces or anything that is task lighting only. So if you want to think of a space where you have to do a lot of actual tasks, so like the laundry room, the garage, maybe the mail room, or maybe a basement or somewhere where there's a specific function being done, 4000K is what I would use there. Even a bathroom could handle 4K if there's makeup application happening in there, if there's like shaving happening in there. That's what I would use, or for very modern spaces. But again, 3000 is usually where I go to for residential spaces. 5000K is usually really, really bright. A lot of people like the look of 5K, and that's fine if they really are sure they want it. Most of the time it's too much. It's too bright. It feels like a sterile sort of surgical room. And then you also want to keep in mind that the higher you go with the color temperature, the cooler it is, meaning your colors of your room, the colors on your wall, the colors on your fabric change based on the color temperature of your light bulbs. So the truest sort of natural light color is 3000K. That's where the colors are going to stay pretty true to what they are. But anything else, either lower or higher, is going to alter the way the colors look. So you want to keep that in mind. The other part about color temperature is that I like keeping my color temperature consistent throughout the room, really throughout the house. I don't want my living room to be 4K and then my dining room to be 2700. So most of the time I stick with 3K and I create my layered effect with that 3K or 4K if going for a modern space. Now here are some other sort of random lighting tips that I want to suggest. I just shared with you the layering tip on using color temperature with the same consistent color. The other lighting tip that I want to share is being creative with the use of pendants. You can use pendants for your nightstand tables. You can use pendants for your bathroom like you see here. There's many creative ways to use pendants, and they also free your floor space if you have small rooms, or if you want to get the most use out of your surfaces like your tables, your countertops, or your nightstands. using ceiling hanging pendants is a really good way to free that space. Another tip is don't be afraid to make a statement. Most people are captured by these big chandeliers and like big pieces, and they really love them, but they get afraid to purchase them. And my answer is always don't be afraid. Make a statement in your entryway. Make a statement in your dining table, in your dining room or your living room, even your bathrooms. Like, don't be afraid to be bold. Just use the formula I shared earlier to make your choice as far as the right proportion for the room. Also the right height, so that if you have tall people in your home or in your family, they're not bumping their head against the chandelier when they walk by. Believe me, that happens more than you would think. So don't be afraid. Make a statement with the size and make a statement with the color. Make a statement with that gold piece you've been wanting, or that shiny crystal piece, or the chrome silver piece. Just go for it. Obviously, like I shared before, for a bigger statement, for a bolder look, then you want to go heavier with the mass of the piece, meaning if it's something really intricate, if it's something really detailed, usually it gives you like a heavier visual scale. And then also just going bigger with size. So like I said, you want to go with at least half the size of the dining table, for example, for a dining room, but going a little bigger will give you a bolder statement. And then the same for any other room. Once you define what that fixture size would be based on the formula I gave you, then you can go bigger to go bolder. Another tip is using dimmers to create a cozier ambiance and mood, especially in bathrooms and bedrooms. And honestly, if budget allows you to just have dimmers everywhere, I'm a huge fan of it. I love the way layering effects happen when I can dim different lighting. So if I can dim my table lamps, and if I can dim my floor lamps, if I can dim the ceiling lights, the recessed lighting in any room, I always go for it. And then I can have multiple layers of lighting, my accent, my task, my general lighting, all turned on at the same time with just a little bit of the power of the light on, and then it just creates this really, really welcoming space for entertaining or for hanging out, for conversation, for spiritual practices like meditation. It's really, really nice. Also, using the dimmers for bathrooms is a great way to just let your eyes feel more rested and more relaxed when you have to go to the bathroom in like the middle of the night. It's also a great way to create a more relaxing space for little ones to go into their bed. So when bedtime comes, I always dim the lights so that my kids sort of get the hint of, all right, it's going to be bedtime soon, and then they start psychologically getting ready for that and preparing themselves for bedtime. So that's another tip. And then also mixing your furniture style and your lighting style up. So don't be afraid to try something new. If you have very traditional furniture in your home, for example, don't be afraid to buy that really modern chandelier that you want, or modern sconces or modern floor lamp. Mix it up is a great way to add personality to your space, is a great way to add diversity and to just add interest to your home in general. And then the opposite as well. If you have a very modern furniture or a very modern design in your home in general, you could go with something very vintage or something very traditional for your lighting and create a very interesting style as well. And then the other quick tip I want to give you in terms of using LED light bulbs and dimmers is you want to make sure that your dimmers are LED compatible. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they buy LED light bulbs, is that they don't get an LED compatible dimmer, and so then the lights start flickering or they don't actually dim. So before you spend a ton of money going to an electrician to dig on whatever the problem it is that you're having. If you think you have a problem because your lights are flickering, before you do that, make sure your dimmer is LED compatible, and that can save you a lot of money and a lot of stress. So that's pretty much it, you guys, as far as choosing the right lighting for your home. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at design@sacredandtearsbypaula.com. And if you need any help making your lighting selections for your home, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you as a consultant for your lighting selection. I also have access to the trade pricing for lighting, and I love passing down my discounts to my clients. So if there's any pieces you need to purchase, any table lamps, any sconces, any recessed lighting or chandeliers, I'm happy to help you find the right provider and find the right piece as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure that you join my Facebook group, Sacred Interiors Academy Soul Home Life. And I look forward to our next training next week. Take care.